So drawing fan art is one of the best ways to become a successful artist. I personally built a big part of my own art career through fan art, and I started out just drawing whatever I was into at the time. From Fate Grand Order fan art and 4-panel manga, to Arknights, Hololive, and Honkai Star Rail. And some of those fan art pieces even led to cool opportunities, like this illustration of the VTuber Ina getting featured in the Hololive X Pixiv fanbook, and my Sparkle fan art winning an award in the Star Rail Creator Competition. The reason why drawing fan art is great for artists, particularly if you're at the beginner and intermediate level, is that it's not only fun, but unlike original art, where you have to start from zero and design everything from scratch, with fan art, there's already an existing character and references that you can draw from. Not to mention that there are already a fandom of people who are interested in seeing art of them. This means you can not only start building a following from scratch as an artist through fan art, but also improve your drawing skills efficiently by being able to just focus on drawing the character and learning from the references. However, from my experience, there are 5 things you should be watching out for if you want to draw fan art and improve faster, build a following, and become successful as an artist, which is exactly what I'll be sharing with you in this video. And if you're new here, hey, nice to meet you, I'm Ori. I'm an illustrator, and on this channel, I make videos exploring how we can level up both our art and ourselves. Also, quick thanks to Izigenia for kindly being today's sponsor. Izigenia is a brand new global VTuber group with an exciting heroes versus alien setting, but more about them after the video. Okay, so when it comes to fan art, it's not enough for the drawing to just look good. You can have the best drawing skills and render color and light like a pro, but if nobody can tell who the character you're drawing is supposed to be, your piece won't be received that well by the fandom. That's why the golden rule of fan art to keep in mind is resemblance. In other words, you always want to make sure that what you're drawing actually looks like the character. Now, this sounds incredibly obvious, but it's actually the most common mistake I see beginner and intermediate artists make when they draw fan art, usually due to inexperience or simply negligence. And I also made this mistake early on. For example, this is fan art of Tenshi from the anime Angel Beats that I drew back when I was still very much learning how to draw. It's a great anime, by the way, and I highly recommend checking it out if you've never watched it. But this is what the original character is meant to look like. And as you can probably tell, my fan art doesn't really resemble her all that much. Now, I've managed to improve a lot over the years, and there's so many things I would do differently with this piece if I had to draw it again. But if I were to just fix the resemblance issue, here's what it would look like. As you can see, this one looks a lot more like the original character. So, how did I take this problematic fan art and improve it drastically by making it actually resemble the character? Before I share the answer, I'm going to quickly give you 5 seconds to compare the two and see if you can come up with your own observations first. Feel free to pause the video if you need extra time. Okay, so here's the changes that I made. And they're also the key to nailing resemblance for any fan art you draw. First are the colors. The colors didn't really match the original, and it's pretty simple to just adjust them. Here, I used the lasso tool to select the different parts, like the skin, hair, and clothes, and then shifted the colors using the hue saturation value slider. Compared to the original, the hair was too purple and needed to adjust more towards a light gray with a blue tint. Also, the clothes were a bit too warm in color and needed to shift more towards a pale yellow. And the color of the eyes were also a bit too orange and needed to be more yellow. Next up are the eyes. Now, eyes are one of the elements that get altered the most depending on the art style, but at the same time, they are also one of the most defining features of a character. So you need to strike a balance between resemblance and your style. I personally like to lean towards resemblance and play with my style in the rendering of the eyes while keeping the resemblance intact. For example, in this fan art I drew of Sparksy from Honkai Star Rail, I made sure to keep the structure and the base colors of the original while adding in my own touch in the rendering of the eyes. However, to keep things simple for this demo, I simply adjusted it to make it closer to the original. Next are the proportions. Making sure that the proportions of the character you're drawing matches that of the original is another massive, if not the most important lever in nailing resemblance. So much so that the first step I recommend most beginner and intermediate artists do when drawing fan art isn't to start sketching the pose or coming up with ideas, but to go and measure the proportions of the character they're drawing. This was something I definitely didn't do back then, since as you can see here, the proportions don't line up with the original, and it was one of the biggest causes of the lack of resemblance. With the proportions of the face, the most important thing to pay attention to are the following: where the face starts in relation to the hair, the position of the face parts, like the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and the distance between them, and also the hair proportions and style, particularly the bangs and the different parts of the hairstyle. Here, I adjusted the face to start lower in relation to the hair. I also lowered the eyes, nose, and cheeks, and raised the position of the mouth a bit. I also adjusted the hairstyle to better match that of the original. If you're earlier in the art journey, I highly recommend breaking up the face of the character you're drawing into a grid like this so you can more accurately measure those things. Similarly with the body, you want to look at how the body parts relate to each other. In particular, pay attention to the head's tall proportions of the character's body, the proportions of the clothes, and also the width of the body in relation to the head. Most notably here, I adjusted the proportions of her bust, skirt, sleeves, and legs to better match that of the originals. Finally, I also adjusted the cropping of the piece so it fit the redrawn proportions better. So when it comes to fan art, always remember that the golden rule is resemblance, and it's the key to drawing great fan art. Moving on, you might love a character, but not all designs are equal. And if it's way too hard for your current level, you'll have a lot of frustration in the drawing process, which is likely to demotivate you when it doesn't turn out well, and that will slow down your improvement. That's why it can be helpful to understand the fan art difficulty tier list. In general, it goes like this: manga and anime characters, VTubers, and game characters. Manga and anime characters tend to be the easiest to draw because by their nature, they have to be drawn many times, and in the case of anime, by different people too. So their designs tend to be the most simplified compared to other mediums. Next, VTubers are often somewhere in the middle in terms of difficulty. However, it does depend on the art style and the outfit, since their designs can also become extremely detailed and complicated. On the other hand, you'll also find many VTubers with simpler designs, like mine for example. Finally, game characters tend to be the hardest because they are the most likely to feature elaborate designs that also have hard surface objects like weapons, armor, mechanical parts, and complex accessories. These all greatly increase the difficulty because you need to draw their structure to an accurate enough degree in perspective to prevent things looking off. However, just like with VTubers, it does depend on the art style, since games like Pokemon feature very simple designs, whereas Hoyoverse characters, on the other hand, have a lot of patterns and accessories, which makes them a lot harder to draw. This is why early in my art journey, I made the decision to focus more on drawing fan art of characters that I liked, who also had simpler designs. For example, Hololive's Fubuki was a character that I drew a lot early on, because her design was simple, and of course, I was a fan. This made drawing fan art more fun and less stressful, and it also allowed me to finish more pieces and thus improve faster. This is actually one of the reasons why I made my own VTuber design relatively simple too, because I know many of you who watch my videos are still in the learning part of your art journey, so I wanted to make the design easy to draw. So when you're drawing fan art, keep in mind the difficulty tier list and choose a character that you're both excited to draw and has a design that is manageable enough for where you're at in the art journey right now. By the way, if you're looking to speed up the progress you make in art and improve in a structured way, you might want to check out my new course, the Anime Art Accelerator. The premise is simple. It'll help you learn and improve your anime art as fast as possible through concise lessons, focused on the 20% that gets you 80% of the improvement, step-by-step quests that tell you exactly what to do next, and stylized references and cheat sheets so you don't waste time reinventing the wheel every time you draw. It's designed especially for beginner and intermediate artists who want to speed up their progress, and I spent more than a year making it the best course I could possibly make, condensing my 7+ years of experience and more than 12,000 hours of drawing into it. So far, more than 1,000 students have already enrolled, and I've received tons of positive comments about it from them. So, if the accelerator sounds like something you'd be interested in, you can find out more about it by clicking the link in the description. Now, if you don't care about building a following or having your art seen by a lot of people, then the only thing you should care about is maximizing the amount of fun you have while drawing. That's it. But if you are interested in building a following through fan art, here are a few tips to help you out. The first is to find your fan art sweet spot. The fan art sweet spot is the overlap between what you want to draw, what people want to see, and what helps you become the kind of artist you want to be. Let's dive into each point in more detail. If you only draw what you want, but nobody else cares, it might be fun, but you probably won't draw an audience. If you've ever tried posting original art as a new artist, you'll know what I mean. It's a lot of fun, but unless you already have a following, no one else is going to know about it. This is where choosing a character, IP, or niche that has an existing fan base can help people to discover your work, because there's already existing interest to see art of that character. And if it's a VTuber, there's also a chance they might repost or share it, which can give your fan art a huge boost in visibility. Of course, this shouldn't be the reason you're drawing the fan art, because one, it's never guaranteed, so you should treat it more as a nice bonus if it happens kind of thing. But two, if you're drawing something just because it's what will do well on social media, but you yourself don't actually care or like it, then you might grow an audience, but you'll eventually hate what you do and burn out. This actually happens to artists more often than you think, because many artists find that when they draw a certain character or a certain type of art, they get a lot of likes and impressions, so they continue drawing it. And at first, it's fun because of all the attention they get and how fast their follower count is growing. But over time, they get used to the attention and find themselves bored, no longer liking the thing, or realizing they were never interested in drawing it to begin with. However, since they built their whole identity as an artist around that thing, that's what their audience wants to see. And if they try drawing something else, it completely bombs. So ultimately, they find themselves in golden handcuffs where they are successful, but absolutely hate what they are doing. This is why it's important to find an overlap between what you want to draw and what people also want to see. Finally, you also need to take into account what kind of fan art will help you become the kind of artist you want to be. As an artist, what you draw and build a following from tends to be what you will eventually be commissioned for and do work of. For example, if you draw VTuber fan art, then you'll likely find yourself doing VTuber-related work down the road, such as models or art commissions. This is also what happened in my case, as I drew a lot of VTuber fan art early on, so the first professional works I did were all VTuber-related. What you draw will also determine the skills you get good at. For example, if, like me, you tend to draw cute girl illustrations, then you'll naturally become specialized towards that. So make sure to choose to draw the type of fan art that will help you develop the kind of skills you want to get good at in art. To put all of this together, you can ask yourself the following question to find your fan art sweet spot. What character or IP do I genuinely like that already has an audience and that I can imagine myself drawing at least 10 pieces of? That 10 pieces part is really important because you need to draw the same kind of things over a long time to build a following. Because it takes time for people and the social media algorithms to begin to associate you with something and recognize your art style. Personally, for me early on, this was the Hololive fandom. And as I continued to draw more fan art of the members I was a fan of, I also started to build a following. So you want to pick a fan art niche that you know you can draw many pieces of without getting bored or tired of it, because repetition isn't only key for building skill, but it's also the key to building your brand as an artist. The second tip for building a following is to understand how the attention economy works. First, there's supply, which is the amount of content being made. Then there's demand, which is the number of people who want to see that content. As mentioned in the previous point, fan art has the benefit of there already being an existing fandom who wants to see the content, meaning there is demand for it. The more popular the character, the higher the existing demand. Original art, on the other hand, unless you already have a big following or are taking advantage of popular niches, have little to no existing demand for them. All else being equal, we can easily see just from the demand that fan art will do better than original art on social media. Now, things get more interesting when we put supply into the equation. Popular IPs also have a lot of artists drawing fan art of it, which increases the supply. And the more artists drawing fan art of the thing, the harder it becomes for any one fan art to stand out because of the competition for the attention. This is why one of the classic fan art strategies is to plan in advance to draw fan art of a character that will be newly released in a popular game, like when a new character gets released in Honkai Sanrio. If you draw it beforehand and schedule to post it, the day the character comes out, there will be the highest demand since it's new, and also the lowest supply since there won't be that much art drawn of the character yet. The same thing is also true for debuts of popular new VTubers, like when a new Hololive generation debuts, or when a popular new game releases, like when Arknight's Enfield came out earlier this year. The day of release has the highest demand and lowest supply of content, which makes it the best time to draw fan art of the thing in terms of playing the social media game. Another classic strategy is to make use of trends. Trends are a limited window of time when there is increased interest in a specific topic or subject. In other words, when a topic is trending, demand for that content goes up. So the algorithm will show that type of content to more people. This means if you create art that plays with the trend, it has a much higher chance of being discovered. Combining trends with fan art can be effective since there is the double benefit of the existing demand from the fan base, in addition to the increased demand from the trend. You can also use trends to help boost the visibility of your original content. Platforms like X will often show you what's currently trending through topics and hashtags. Those may be harder to utilize unless you already have an existing piece that works for it, since they tend to pop up in the moment. But there are recurring seasonal trends that you can plan for. For example, many artists like to post art on event dates like Valentine's, Halloween, and Christmas. But there are also days for a niche like Cat Day and Maid Day. Many of them originate from Japan and get picked up by the anime art community. On screen are some common ones to watch out for. That said, you should play the algorithm maxing game carefully, because if you hop on every trend and opportunity, you'll get pulled in 100 different directions, and your identity as an artist becomes really blurry. Also, I just want to point out that there are, of course, many other factors at play, such as the quality and skill level that you're able to draw your art at, which increases your chances of capturing more attention. But just having a basic understanding like this of how the attention economy works will help you play the social media game better and grow a following more effectively. The third tip is to trust the process. Getting good at drawing fan art and building a following takes time. You won't suddenly learn how to draw like a pro in a day, and you also won't suddenly grow a huge following by just drawing a popular character and posting it with the right hashtag. What helps in these times is understanding the different growth curves for skill improvement and audience building. with skill improvement, growth doesn't happen in a perfectly straight line. Instead, it looks kind of like this. At the start, you'll rapidly improve as you learn all the basic things to do and not do as a beginner. But after that beginner gains phase ends, you'll find that you'll start going through periods of slow improvement, followed by big leaps in skill when you finally overcome the bottleneck that's holding you back. And this will continue to repeat. Slow growth for a long time, followed by rapid leaps each time you overcome a bottleneck. It's during the slow growth phases where it can sometimes feel like you're not improving at all that you need to watch out for, because that's the time most artists are likely to give up. But if you keep persisting and working on your bottlenecks, you'll be rewarded with big level ups in your skill. Now, when it comes to growing an audience, on the other hand, it will feel like nothing is happening for a very long time, then followed by everything happening all at once. For example, my YouTube growth curve looked like this, where pretty much nothing happened for years, followed by sudden explosive growth. In other words, overnight successes are years in the making, and the artists and creators you see suddenly popping off on social media have often been drawing and posting for years to a very small audience. But then at one point, usually when their skills finally reach a certain level and they become really good at what they do, people and the algorithm happen to pick up on something they did, and then things start taking off. So just because your fan art doesn't take off right away, doesn't mean you aren't doing the right thing. It usually just means that you're still in the grindy part of the curve. And instead, all you need to do is keep focusing on what you control, which is drawing, learning, and posting consistently. Because the artists who succeed are the ones who keep going long enough to reach the other side of the growth curve. Now, if you're looking for something new to draw fan art of, or want to discover a potential new Oshi, you might want to check out Izigenia, who's kindly sponsoring this part of the video. Izigenia is a new global VTuber project set in an exciting world of heroes versus aliens. At the center of the story is a mysterious substance called Izigenium, which reacts to people's desires and changes them. Their lineup of VTubers features a wide range of unique designs across female and male characters, as well as a whole host of different personalities and specialties. On the hero side are the Outriders, who have developed animal-like traits due to Izigenium and want to protect Earth. At the time of this recording, the Outriders who have debuted are Cedric Alfir, Rudidori Kafka, and Eru Claimy. And on the opposing side are the invading aliens that are inorganic existences which developed human appearance due to Izigenium. Currently, Xiaoan is the only member from the alien side that have debuted. There's also Metemafu, the adorable space Pomeranian with unknown intentions, which as a fellow mascot character, I totally love. They also have official merch available of the characters, like the ones you see on screen right now. So if there's a waifu or husbando that catches your eye, be sure to check it out. Not every character has debuted yet, and they will be revealing the silhouettes of the upcoming members soon, which is something to look forward to. So if that sounds interesting, you can find out more about Izigenia through the link in the description. So fan art is one of the best ways to improve, build a following, and get more reps in as an artist. But the thing that determines how much you actually improve from those reps is the habits you repeat every time you draw. Because whether we like it or not, we all have them. And some of those habits quietly make our drawings better, while others will actually hold us back. That's why I made this video, where I break down the 8 tiny but game-changing habits that helped take my art from a clueless beginner level to being able to draw professionally and get to where I am today. This was Ori. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!